Us guys are impossible to shop for.
Hey Bryce, what do you want for Christmas this year?
Stuff? So unless you want Minecraft boxers for the 5th year in a row.
Not that there's anything wrong with that.
No, of course not.
I mean, it's fine if that's who you are.
Absolutely.
You're gonna have to come up with something, which is where I come in. I've put together over 50 fishing gift ideas to add to your list this year. I made a wishlist page with everything from this video that you can check out down in the description. And while this video was made for the Christmas season, most of these gift ideas will work any time of year. So that said, let's start with the easiest fishing gifts, lures. We always need more of them. Even if I already had like 6 or 7 of the same rooster tail, I'm gonna be stoked if I get another one because sometimes I'll get 3 or 4 of them snagged in a single trip. So here are a bunch of lures that I put together that I've caught at least one fish off of in the past. Of course, I'm gonna start with the inline spinner. You can't go wrong with a rooster tail or panther martin. My favorite sizes are 1/16 ounce or 1/8 ounce. That's mostly because I'm fishing ultralight. I also really love the 1/32 ounce panther martin. I actually caught my first rainbow trout off that lure. And if you're looking for like a small spoon style lure, try the Acme Phoebe. I found it works really well in small streams for smallmouth. And I don't use safety pin style spinnerbaits often, but when I do, it's a Strike King Mini King spinnerbait. I've caught a few really nice largemouth bass off of this lure, and at a 1/8 ounce size, you can even fish it with an ultralight rod. And if you've seen my channel before, you know that I am a big Rapala fanboy. So you better believe the Rapala floating minnow is going to be on here. It is my favorite lure, second only to the inline spinner, and I've caught a ton of fish off of it. Not to forget the Rapala Husky Jerk. If you're looking for suspending jerkbait, you gotta try this lure. I've caught a lot of fall fish off of it and a few smallmouth here and there. It's a really good jerkbait to try. And if you're looking for a crankbait that dives just a little deeper than the floating minnow, try the Rapala Shallow Runner Shad Wrap. It's a little bigger, a little heavier, but it can get me about as deep as I ever need to fish from the bank. Now I don't use too many different soft plastics, but the ones I do use work really well for me. My go-to soft plastic for bass fishing is a 4-inch Senko. The 5-inch Senko works well too, but I just like to open myself up to more fish. Just make sure that if you do have a 4-inch Senko, that you also have a 3/0 extra wide gap hook to rig it with. As I mentioned earlier, I mostly fish ultralight, and I think one of the best ultralight soft plastics you can get is a trout magnet. You can either buy them in a kit that has a bunch of different colors and jig heads, or you can buy a single color body in bulk. If you do plan on getting the kit, I highly recommend getting extra jig heads just because the hooks do dull pretty quickly, and personally, I don't think they give you enough of them in the kit. Another soft plastic that's a good alternative to the trout magnet is the Berkley pre-rigged atomic tubes. I find them to be a little more durable, and you can also get them in a 1/32 ounce and a 1/16 ounce size. And don't be turned off by how small they are. I actually caught my PB smallmouth bass off of a 1/32 ounce one. Now I don't fish topwater too often, but here are 2 lures you might want to try. I am a big fan of the hula popper. I have the smallest size one and it is so fun to get topwater bites off it. And when I want to fish topwater without moving a popper back and forth, I'm going to be using a whopper plopper. I've caught fish off of the 70 and the 90 size before, but I'd really like to try that 1/4 ounce 60 size too someday. With either of these topwater lures, you stick to the smaller sizes and you can't go wrong. So there are 2 other lure-related gifts that I'd like to mention as well. Now I personally wouldn't want one of these, but you might be interested in a mystery tackle box. It's like one of those boxes you can buy that has an assortment of different lures, and they're all usually grouped around targeting certain species. If I was gonna get one, I'd probably get this trout and panfish box to load up on more ultralight gear, and while it doesn't appeal to me, it might be a good opportunity for you to try some new lures. And you know what's even cooler than catching fish off of a lure that you got? Catching one off of a lure you made yourself. I bought this inline spinner kit earlier this year and I highly recommend it. If you go back to the first video on my channel, I actually caught 6 chain pickerel and a largemouth bass all off of a lure I made from it. It is really satisfying catching fish off of your own lure, and it's a fun activity to keep you entertained over the winter. Just make sure if you do have the kit that you also have some long-nosed pliers to bend the wire with. And while it's not necessary, I also recommend a fly tying vise just so you're able to keep things in place while you're assembling. So those are all the lures I recommend trying out. Can't go wrong with any of them. Now let's talk about everyone's favorite gift. Clothes. I know, clothes aren't the most exciting gift. But when you put fishing in front of them, they get a lot more interesting. Firstly, if you don't have a pair of polarized sunglasses, you're missing out. Not only do they protect your eyes from the sun, but they also help you see through the water better. This is especially helpful for sight fishing and seeing when a fish is following your lure. Up next, you should also have a hat. It could be a baseball hat, a trucker hat, just something to protect your face. Doesn't need to be fancy schmancy, but the athletic ones are probably better for keeping you cool on a hot day. Now, something I discovered this year that I'd highly recommend is a UPF 50+ hoodie. UPF stands for Ultralight Protection Factor, and these hoodies protect you from the sun and keep you cool because they're super light and breathable. It's nice not having to worry about putting sunscreen on my arms, and it makes you look like a pretty cool guy pairing it with a baseball hat. When I'm fishing in the warm weather, I usually just have a pair of cargo shorts on. They're light, durable, and it's nice to have a lot of pockets to hold stuff in while I'm fishing. And while not necessary, it's nice to have a pair of hiking shoes too. Especially if you're a bank fisherman like me, having something comfortable for your feet goes a long way. And if you like to wade in the water like me, consider getting some wading shoes. These aren't necessary to wade in the water, but they go really well with stocking foot style waders. Now, because I don't have waders, I just wade in the water without them, which is called wet wading. If you want to do that, any old pair of shoes will work, but I use a pair of knockoff Crocs like these ones. Just make sure that you also have some neoprene socks to prevent chafing and blistering on your feet. Believe me, I've gone without them and you will not regret getting a pair. Up next, I want to talk about a few fishing accessories that would make great gifts. First and foremost, a pair of fishing pliers. I consider these to be an essential to fishing, and even if you already have a pair, it's always good to have a backup because they're easy to lose. This pair in particular also has clippers built in, so you don't need to carry clippers around. If you're looking for a better way to carry your tackle around, consider getting a tackle backpack. This Placino branded one is what I have, and it's done a great job carrying things around this year. It has a bunch of different pockets for your gear, and is strong enough to handle just about anything you need for your trip. It's also good to have some tackle trays to stay organized. I don't think you need to get a big brand name or super fancy schmancy waterproof ones. Just have something that you can use to keep your lures and terminal tackle organized. Now, if you're a catch and release fisherman like me and you want to target trout, I highly recommend a rubber mesh landing net. Trout are pretty sensitive and they don't do well out of the water for very long, so having a net can keep them in the water longer and give them a stronger release. It's also important that it's a rubber mesh net so that the protective slime layer on the trout doesn't get rubbed off. It's also good to have a measuring tape on hand. Using one is a great way to keep track of personal bests, especially for smaller species like panfish where the weight isn't as important. That said, if the weight is important, you're going to need a scale. I have the Rapala branded scale, which works great, but this casting scale is a better budget option. Now that we've covered accessories, I want to go over a few non-gear related fishing gifts. There are two books I'd like to recommend. First, the Total Fishing Manual. This book covers a bunch of different skills for gearing up, finding a good spot, and landing that fish of your dreams. I've only taken a quick glance at it, but it's always a good sign when 3 of the 15 greatest lures of all time are inline spinners. And they got the Rapala floating minnow on there too. The other book I want to recommend is Fishing for Buffalo. Now, I already mentioned this book in my mystery catfish video. It is a great source for learning about the rough fish of America. There are so many species out there that most fishermen don't even know exist, let alone fish them. So this book shows those species some love, teaches you how to catch them, and even gives you a few recipes to try. Now, if you're looking for some decoration for your office or man cave, consider getting a print of your favorite fish species, or a fishing gear patent for your wall. If you're looking for something a little more three-dimensional, Rapala actually sells a massive 29-inch version of their floating minnow that you can hang up for display. Of course, mugs make great gifts too. These are just 2 designs I liked on Amazon, but there are plenty of others to choose from. I also wanted to cover a few fishing games. First game I wanted to recommend is Lure. It's a board game where you wager and roll dice to catch fish against your opponents. My wife got it for me last year and we have a ton of fun with it. So much so that we got the Deep Waters expansion pack, which adds saltwater species to the game. Now, if Monopoly with a fishing twist appeals to you, definitely check out Fishin'-opoly. This board game plays the same as classic Monopoly, but has fishing-themed properties and cards. Each property also has a fishing-related fact on the back, which is a really nice touch. If a digital gift appeals to you, a great video game to check out is Cast and Chill. Released in 2025, it's a casual and relaxing game where you catch fish to upgrade your gear and explore new locations. I've been playing it for a few weeks now, and it's really nice to unwind to at the end of the day. Now, let's move on to rods and reels. I have a few recommendations for both ultralight and medium power fishing. And if you don't know what a rod's power is, it basically boils down to how much weight it can cast. An ultralight rod is sensitive, but can't cast usually more than a 1/4 ounce of weight. A medium rod isn't as sensitive, but it can cast upwards of 3/4 of an ounce of weight. So if you want to get an ultralight setup, there's no better place to start than the Shakespeare Micro Series rod. The one I have is 5 feet long and comes in 2 pieces. And believe me when I say you can't get a better rod for the price. This thing's light, it's sensitive, and it catches fish. The only downside is that it is fragile. I'm actually on my 3rd one this year, but it is still totally worth it. I would recommend it to anyone who wants to get into ultralight fishing. Now, if you're looking for something a little more durable, you can try the Ugly Stick GX2 ultralight rod. It's not going to be as sensitive, but it's an ugly stick, so you don't have to worry about breaking nearly as much either. Now, if you're looking for a premium option, my daily driver is a TFO Trout Panfish 2 rod. This is a 6-foot 2-piece ultralight rod. I put this thing through the paces and absolutely love it. It's about 5 or 6 times more expensive than a Shakespeare Micro, and while it doesn't feel 5 or 6 times better, I would replace this thing in a heartbeat if I needed to. So what kind of reels should you pair with these rods? A good budget option would be the Abu Garcia Max Pro reel. While I haven't tried this reel myself, it's very affordable and it seems to have a lot of really good reviews. I would probably get this in a 5 size or a 10 size for ultralight fishing. For an option around $50, you can try the Bass Pro Microlight Elite reel. I have a size 5 version of this reel, and other than the bail being a little weak, it gets the job done, and that's all I can ask for. And for a premium option, I suggest the Pflueger President reel in a 20 or 25 size. If you take good care of it, this thing will last you a long time with little to no maintenance. In my experience, Pflueger also has really good customer service. At one point, the dust cap on my reel fell off and I lost it, but after reaching out to them, they sent me a replacement free of charge. Okay, so now moving on to medium rods, my first suggestion is an Ugly Stick GX2. This is one of the most popular rods out there because it is super durable. I've bent it wrong, I've gotten it stuck before, I think I've even stepped on it before too, and I've never worried about it breaking on me. Is it the most sensitive rod out there? No. But for the times that I do cast out like a Senko or a Whopper Plopper, it gets the job done. Now for a budget option, I might try the Berkley Cherrywood HD rod. It's a popular option, has good reviews, and it's from a reputable brand. I'd probably get the 6'6" version that comes in 2 pieces. Now, I'd probably never spend this much money on a medium rod, but if you wanted a premium option, I'd probably go with the St. Croix Triumph rod. Now, there might be a better rod out there for the price, but I know that this is a very popular option for people who are serious about fishing. I would probably go with the 6-foot 1-piece option for this rod. So what kind of reels would I pair with these rods? I haven't tried it before, but a good budget option might be the Cast King Centron reel. Looks like you can get a size 2000 or 3000 for under $30, and currently it's the #1 bestseller in fishing reels on Amazon. That's enough to tell me that a lot of people really enjoy this reel. And for a more premium option, I would go with the Pflueger President. Yes, I know, I already mentioned it with the ultralight setups, but honestly, I'd pair this with any spinning rod. I use a size 35 with my medium rod, but you could get away with size 30 just fine. And my size 35 President is the oldest reel I have, and works perfectly fine after 2 years and hundreds of fish. I also want to include my medium heavy setup here. I use this setup when I'm targeting catfish and carp, but can be used anytime you need to cast an ounce or more of weight. My medium heavy rod is a 9-foot 2-piece Ugly Stick Big Water. And to pair with my big water rod, I have an Okuma Avenger ABF reel. It has a dual drag system that is perfect for carp fishing. I ended up going with the 65B size, and it fits perfectly with my 9-foot big water rod. Before moving on, I also wanted to include a fly fishing setup here. Now, I don't have a fly rod myself, but this is what I would get as someone who wants to fly fish for the first time. For the rod, I'd get this Redington Path fly fishing rod. It's a 9-foot 5-weight fly fishing rod, which is a good all-around size. It might seem expensive at $65, but as far as fly rods go, this is actually pretty cheap. And I trust it over the other cheaper rods just because it's from a reputable brand and it has good reviews. As for the reel, I'd try the Piscifun Swordfly reel. It also comes in at $65, but it comes with line preloaded, and it's the #1 bestseller in fly fishing reels on Amazon. These last few gifts are all ice fishing related. I haven't really ice fished myself before, but it's something I'd like to try out. So here are a few things that I'd consider getting to go ice fishing for the first time. First and foremost, I'd get some ice safety picks. These are retractable picks that you keep around your neck so that in the event you were to fall in, you have something to grip onto the ice with. And in the same vein, I'd probably get a spud bar too. It's a metal bar that you jab into the ice ahead of you so that you know the ice you're walking on is safe. I'd also get some ice cleats or crampons to walk on the ice safely. You attach them to the bottom of your boots for extra traction. If you're fishing in an especially cold area, I'd definitely get a bib. They're like snow pants, except they're water resistant, and they usually have some sort of foam to help you float if you were to fall in. Of course, you're also going to need an auger to break through the ice. I'd probably just get a hand auger to start, but if you want to get fancy, they also sell gas augers and electric augers too. And if you don't have a spare pasta strainer on hand, consider getting an ice skimmer. It helps you clear ice and slush from the hole you're fishing. It's common for ice fishermen to keep their tackle in a 5-gallon bucket. And while it's certainly not essential, it's probably worth getting a seat cushion for it too. That way you have something nice to sit on while you're fishing out there. I also looked around a little bit for ice fishing rod and reel combos. The first result on Amazon for an ice fishing rod is actually an ugly stick dock runner. Turns out a lot of people use it for ice fishing. At 36 inches, it's a little bit on the long side for an ice fishing rod, but it might be something to consider for a budget option. If I wanted a combo designed for ice fishing, I would get this ice fishing combo from 13 Fishing. They're a little shorter and they also come in ultralight, light, and medium power configurations. Now it's very common to use jigs when ice fishing. I would buy these 1/16 ounce jigs to start. They're ideal for smaller panfish and trout, and they're made of tungsten. That's really important because at least here in New Hampshire, we're not allowed to use lead jigs or sinkers unless they're over an ounce. For an alternative to a traditional rod and reel, it might also be worth getting some tip-ups. They allow you to rig your bait on a spool with the flag that goes up when a fish is on. So they're a nice hands-free way of ice fishing with live baits. Finally, if you want even half of these ice fishing items, you're definitely going to want a utility sled to carry them around. It's probably not needed if you're only fishing a small pond, but I'd definitely have one if I was going to walk more than a few hundred feet. And there you have it. I hope this video gave you some great fishing gift ideas or inspired some of your own. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to give it a like, subscribe, and let me know down in the comments what gift you're hoping for this year. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.